Good morning, everybody. GM. Welcome to Money Monday. Checking the microphone, the stream, everything's looking good. Right on. Welcome. Excited to have you all here. We got ourselves a big week. 2 big weeks. For some, it's going to be life-changing, course-altering. Others, it will just be entertaining. So you get to pick. Welcome. A bunch of the EMT next marketing challengers are crushing it the last 3 weeks. It's been fantastic. Anyway, super excited about what we got to work on. And price is going up. Okay, let's jump into this. One more thing up here. Also really excited about, I'm going to stop this here. I'm going to turn this. And yeah, this week, one of my baby's birthdays. So yeah, we're going to have a wild time. Grandmas are coming into town and lots of planning and arranging and then of course getting travel plans ready for coming to Utah, making the best out of that. Talking to Mitch Nelson earlier, and he was saying he and Maylee are at least gonna have 100 guests at the event. And we started doing some reverse math and breaking down the numbers, the ratios, law of averages. And at a bare minimum, the dude's going to be making $100,000. But potentially, doing your proper follow-ups and having the right people in the room, he could have a $500,000 event, the following 6 months as he does his follow-ups, helps people find the funding, collects the orders. So how much are you looking for? What do you want out of this? Because it's just a matter of putting people in the room, right? They've corporate's done all the heavy lifting, and now it's just up to us. So some of you might be wondering, can I? Should I? Is it worth it? And then some of you are just going all out. You're doing your paid ads, you're doing your networking, you're doing all the appropriate stuff, all of your social media posts, right? Taggings. And we're seeing a lot of momentum and registrations going up. So well done for all of you. Let's do quote of the day. Quote of the day: education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope. Hope breeds peace. Isn't that interesting? Education brings peace. So we can use our words correctly, sharing ideas of a much more peaceful planet. All right, top 10. Well done, everybody. Number 1 is Richard Stock. Number 2, Benjamin Creelman. Number 3 is Alinda Jensen. Well done. In the number 4 position, Mahilani. Congrats to you. Number 5 is Dave and Denisha. Number 6 is Vivian. Holy moly, I'm sensing a theme here. These are people who are doing our first flip challenge, doing our marketing challenges. Obviously, the system is working. So congrats to you guys too. Well done. Kryn. In the number 8 position, Ryan Dodge, tried and true. This guy just won't quit. So congrats to you too. And Jason McCracken from the East Coast coming in number 9, and Mitch Maley in the number 10 position. Exciting stuff to see. And one thing I love about the Nelson team is their amazing balance of leadership and production. And that they're able to help their teams while also being in the top 10. Impressive. So for all of you who are out there working inside of their system, make sure you're on the Investor Secret Network subscription so you get all the benefits of that. And in case you haven't checked out, we did an advanced creative acquisitions class a few months ago. Now, Chris Albin has already done 3 incredible full-day classes. But then as the market got a little more sophisticated and more people were in, and the intricacies, legalities that have evolved over the last couple of years, they updated, made a newer class. And then I don't know if you guys know who Steve Nomura is out of the Chicago team, but he has systematized his purchasing, and he's now purchased over, I think he's at 210 or 220 rentals. The dude is making nearly $100,000 a month, and he did it all through creative acquisitions. So him and Chris Albin got together and designed a brand new class for advanced creative acquisition. So go check that out. Sharpen your knives, sharpen the tools, get familiar with what else is possible, because at the end of the day, your portfolio is based on how many problems you can solve. The amount of money you make, the type of life you're enjoying, is in direct proportion to the size of the problems you solve. And housing, real estate, is an enormous problem to solve. Huge opportunities there. So get smarter, make a difference. All right, let's do this. Self-confidence formula. How to make a difference in your own psychology. So here we go. First, I know I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here now promise to render such action. Second, I understand that the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily on the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek some expression through some practical means of attaining the object or position I desire. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I've clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim, and I will always work until I develop sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Fifth, I fully realize that wealth and power can long endure when built upon truth and justice. I will only engage in transactions who benefit all whom it affects, and I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use in the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve them. I've eliminated hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism, and I've developed a love for all of humanity, for I know that a positive attitude towards others will always bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, committed to memory, and repeat it aloud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my thoughts and actions, so I will become a self-reliant and successful person. Now, here is the distinguishing mark, the way to separate yourself from the normies, from the poverty-stricken people, from the people who expect a handout, who hope and wish and pray, and that their retirement plan is demand, I guess. So maybe some strikes, maybe the lottery. No, not us. We are taking the initiative. So let's get into this. Having chosen a definite chief aim as my life work, I now understand it to be my duty to transform this purpose into reality. Therefore, I will form the habit of taking some definite action each day that will carry me one step near the attainment of my definite chief aim. I know that procrastination is a deadly enemy of all who would become leaders in any undertaking, and I will eliminate this habit from my makeup by doing some one definite thing each day that ought to be done without anyone telling me to do it. Man, if we just stopped right there, that would be the game changer. B, looking around until I find at least one thing I can do each day that I've not been in the habit of doing and that will be of value to others without expectation of pay. C, telling at least one other person each day of the value of practicing this habit of doing something that ought to be done without being told to do it. I can see that the muscles of the body become strong in proportion to the extent which they are used. Therefore, I understand that the habit of initiative also becomes fixed in proportion to the extent that it is practiced. I realize that the place to begin developing the habit of initiative is in the small, commonplace things connected with my daily work. Therefore, I will go at my work each day as if I were doing it solely for the purpose of developing the necessary habit of initiative. I understand that by practicing this habit of initiative in connection with my daily work, I will not only be developing the habit, but also attracting the attention of those who will place greater value on my services as a result of this practice. And that's how you make the difference. For you, for the people in your life that are depending on you, and for, even more importantly, your future self. How often I can look back and say, oh, thank goodness my past self did something. And, it's no one's coming to save us. We have to do it on our own. But thank goodness we're in America where we have choice, we have options, we have freedom. And grateful to be on this path with you guys and gals. It's Money Monday. How are we going to make a difference? So great to see you all here, everyone, for joining. Tamara, Zen, Aubrey, Matt, iPhone, Michelle, Corinne, Deborah, Carla. What's up, JL? Never misses a meeting, year after decade. Great to see you too. Steve, always a pleasure. Heidi, Emily, Bill. What's up, Big Billy? Ben, Ada, Doug, Mr. Pete, Coco, Jim. Okay, my favorite topic inside of Renatus, other than watching tears of joy from people closing their deals, getting out of debt, making a difference, however they're measuring that, is the comp plan. Understanding how we're getting paid, how much we're getting paid, by when. Last week, we covered the schedule, right? The 12-day pay cycle, and thinking about the last order entry day of the month. So obviously, with our E3 event coming up and it being the end of the month, every order you put in ETH at the E3 event will pay you in November. So expect a gigantic November, which means that Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year, Kwanzaa, all the things, the year-end stuff is going to be very abundant. It's a beautiful thing. Liquidity's gone up overall. It's good and bad, right? It's good because it's the lubrication for the economic engine that keeps things turning. But they're debasing our currency, which is not good. The way to fight against that is holding assets. And I found this a lot when I'm helping someone get into, even to come to the Thursday night meeting or to come to a Saturday property tour. One of the top resistance, I wouldn't say necessarily an objection, but just the resistance people have is they're like, I'm not interested in real estate. I don't want to do real estate. I'm just not interested in it. I get it. Me neither, really. I like land. I like, a little bit of self-sovereignty, privacy, choice, autonomy. But I don't like design and interior design and color matching and marketing and sales and contract. I don't know. We're putting up with all of those things so that we're not getting debased, so that as the printing of the currency keeps going up, our assets keep going up, and we can at least keep up. By default, you can just keep up, but with education and the right action, man, you can really crush it. So when I'm talking to people and they're like, I don't want to do real estate, I'm like, every system inside of America is set up for real estate holders. All the taxes, all the banking, all the credit, all the insurance, it's all set up for real estate holdings. So you don't have to like it, but you got to do it. You got to do it, or you're I don't know how to say it. The people who depend on you are going to say, why didn't you? And so when we lay out the benefits of, inflation, insulation, income, like the four benefits of a rental, you've seen how we got appreciation, depreciation, amortization, and cash flow. All four of those benefits mean it's a no-brainer. And gold is nice, right? I know a lot of people like to invest in oil, because after we came off of the gold standard in 1971, oil became the thing to peg value to. But real estate is so much more useful in our lives. So when you're sitting there talking to people and they're like, I don't know, real estate's tough. Aren't I priced out? It's too late. It's too late. Houses are already 700,000. 10 years from now, 700,000 is going to look like a bargain. Also the average income is going to be like 110,000, 120 10 years from now. And a good income is going to be 600 to a million. So make sure that you're not letting these people make excuses, because we want to serve them. Going back to our self-confidence formula and the initiatives, it's about serving people. That's the only way to grow a business, create customers, and create wealth for yourself. Do the projections. Let's pull up the into chart real quick. And if we just extrapolate a teeny bit, let me pull this chart up here real quick. Where do you think we'll be in 10 years? Oh, Francisco just joined us. GM. I believe he got an order in last week. Okay, look at this. Look at this. We max this out here. Are we on max? Okay. If we look at how much money they've been printing over the last 40 years, and we just imagine another 10, okay? If we just imagine another 10 is going to do something like that, right? Okay, so on our scale over here, we'd be around the 30,000 billion, 30 trillion. Right now we're at 20. I'm going to be at 30 trillion in the next 10 years. Easy. So that's around well, if we're at low 20s now, we're going to 30. What is that? That's a 30% increase. Increase everything 30%. Increase your house 30%. Increase your wage 30%. Hope to God we don't increase our taxes 30%. But my point is, if you're looking at a house right now and you go, 500,000, that's high. That's too much. I'll wait for it to come down. Folks, it's not coming down. There was a tiny dip right here where they raised interest rates. Inflation was at 9%. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up to you on this call is so that you have conversational ammo to get people to take a serious look at your offer of being a real estate investor and using the Renatus education system. This little dip right here, that was your chance to buy if you wanted a dip, okay? And you see this tiny little dip, 2008. Nah, that's it. It's, Lynn Alden says, nothing stops this train. It is just headed to infinity. So a $500,000 house now, in 10 years, add 30%. So it's going to be easy 650. So $1 million house would be 1.3. If you're making 100,000 as an annual salary, now it's 130,000. But it's still, then you're increasing the cost of everything. A dozen eggs is going to be $25. But if you have real estate, the point is it doesn't matter what the price is. If your portfolio is held in assets, and really it's real estate, because a bond is no longer an asset. Unfortunately, the bond yield rates are no. So anyway, real estate, gold, Bitcoin, oil. Not even silver anymore. Silver just got toasted. So anyway, my point is, since we know prices are going up on everything, to be able to afford it is not just business, but it is asset holding. Now, when you do both, like inside of Renatus, where you get your marketing, you get your real estate, you do both, you'll be unstoppable. So it's a couple questions, right? I do this with my mom, my cousins, just talking all the time. Do you think they're going to stop printing money or print more? It when you just think about that one question, then it becomes an imperative that we buy real estate, which also means that to do people a favor, to add more value to their life, you insist that they get involved. And with this insistence, you can actually make change. Now, a lot of you are incredibly kind, polite people. And so you don't want to be perceived as rude or mean or pushy. But I would rather be this okay. We don't like to rub it in people's faces, but a couple of years ago, I had some friends that were like, Michael, how's that real estate thing going? And I told you. I told them, I told you. I told you so. I told you so. You should have jumped in with me back when houses were 100 grand. Now they're 500 grand. How long do you want to wait? You want to wait till they're a million before you get in? That didn't feel good, being like, I told you from a negative. Now, my other friends that did jump in, right? I got one of my other friends just bought her second house. And the same feeling of, see, I told you. I told you it was going to work. I like that I told you so vibe. So it's the same thing with our customers, your client list. You're eventually going to say, I told you, but what kind of vibe do you want on it? We want them to prosper as well. So with this insistence, one thing that helped me is like, you know, the word insist. We use it very specifically in English with things like holding the door open for somebody, right? You open the door and they say, go ahead. And you say, no, you go ahead. And then you say, I insist. As soon as that insistence is up in the language, the other person walks through. Or if you're offering some food, right? Here, try a bite of this. It's delicious. And they go, no, 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 I don't want it. Try it. Come on. And they say, no. And then you say, I insist. Then they take it. So insist that people come with you to the E3 summit. Insist that people come to your cash flow games, your property tours, your one-on-ones. With that insistence, with a smile, being polite, I have made it, at least 50% of my money came from that insistence, right? With positivity, of course, with kindness, with patience, but with insistence. I insist you buy real estate. I insist you take our training. I insist you use the coaching, use the software. And some of you are just going one level, and you need to go 3, 5, 10 levels of insistence. And it'll pay off big time for you. Awesome. Okay. Anything about that topic real quick? We're going to go over to the whiteboard, and I'm going to talk about comp plan. Comp plan. Let's see. Steve asks, how do you insist without being needy or pushy? Well, you are going to be pushy because you're pushing for something good. It's like all right. I heard a joke over the weekend. I haven't ever said it, so I'm going to try right now. Okay, so there's three. Okay, there's three priests standing on the side of a road, and there's a little bit of a construction going on. And these priests, obviously you can see by what they're wearing that they're priests, and they're holding up a sign that says, you need to turn around. You need to turn around. And, one guy starts driving up and he looks at the sign. You need to turn around and he goes, "You don't know me. You don't tell me what to do." And about 5 seconds later, they hear this big crash and this big wreck. And one priest looks to the other priest and says, "Maybe we should change the sign to the bridge is closed." So the original sign, you need to turn around. Um, are they being pushy? Are they being salesy? Are they being needy? We're trying to hold up big signs that are guiding people, and so hopefully that joke landed well. Thanks, Steve, for the little laughs. So that's what we're doing. We're not being pushy. We're like, guys, the signs are everywhere. You have to, and do the hard thing. Do the hard thing. So anyway, go ahead, Carla. I saw your hand was up. Do you have a question, comment, idea?
Yes, so my question is, I have a conflict and I won't be able to attend E3, but I want to still leverage the event. And I'm thinking and really the best way is for people to go in person. So any advice on really, and I won't be able to attend virtually either because it's a conference that I'm presenting at. So any advice in terms of fully leveraging it, even though I won't be able to participate?
Let's see. Well, you have team members,
Yes.
people you've already enrolled. It's time for leadership. You got to task them with not only helping their guests, but your guests too. Explain the situation. Hey, I want to be there. Obviously, two places at once, not possible. So task them. This is what you're going to do. I'm going to have these guests, and I would make like my own Zoom party inside of that. Now they're going to be broadcasting through Zoom. So you have a couple choices. You have cal.com, you have Loom, you have a bunch of different other broadcasting things. So I don't know if this is compliant. I'll ask in the Pat call in just a few minutes here. But what I would do with what you set up is get, two or three of my leaders, train them. Here's what I want in this scenario, that scenario. And then I would rebroadcast the Zoom to where you guys can control it in the Loom. I think the Loom's probably the easiest one. And then that way, if you need to, you can pop in and out, but you're giving them how you want to see it unfold. Because inside the main Zoom that Renatus is going to have, they're not going to have open chat. They're not going to be able to do, all the friendly niceties that we get to do in our own chats because potential spamming. So they're going to just close the chats, right? But for your guests and your team members to create the relationships, answer questions, encourage announcements, all that, I would just do a double broadcast and then control everything that you can from there.
Got it. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, I know it sounds like a little extra work, but
Oh no, but that's why I asked, right? Because you gotta be in it to win it. So thank you for your feedback.
yeah, who's your number one productive or like most gung-ho student in
I
Renatus right
have a
now?
group of women that almost like a subgroup within my group. They're going to be at a conference this week, but they are real estate addicts, right? All four of them. So if I can rally them to attend and really participate, it's already that infrastructure's there. I've recruited all four of them separately, but because they love real estate, one is a short-term rental person, one's a midterm rental, so yes. So that's why by you presenting that, that's given me a focus, right, of getting them to commit.
Sweet. Okay. Well, looking forward to seeing you on the top 10 leaderboard in the coming weeks.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Okay, sweet. All right, well, let's jump into this now. I'm going to share my screen. By the way, did that help with anyone else's questions about the distance challenges that some of you might have? Also, Steve, did my joke help? Oh, we got Zen. Let me stop this real quick so I can hear you. Stop. Yes. GM, good morning.
Good morning. Actually, my question is about the comp plan. I just wanted to make sure that I'm clear on it. So I'm brand new. So before you're one star qualified, you get 30% of, you said the commissional value. So that's whatever the commission would be. And then you take 30% of that. Is that correct? Or is it of the sale?
What you said first.
Okay. So like when you're heading to get to your 5,000, it's whatever the commission is on that sale going up to the 5,000, not on the 5,000.
Individually, yes, but collectively, it's also correct to say on the 5,000
Okay.
because if you, for example, put in 5 essential sales, that first one where it's 1,080 as the CV, 1,080 times 0.3 is 324. So you're going to get
Okay.
324 up until you hit 5,000 in CV, which, when you do 1080 times 5, you're at 5,400. So you'll be 400 over the 5,000. So that first 5,000 you're getting 30% of, which is 1,500. Regardless of what orders you put in, what products they buy, it's always going to be 1,500 of the first 5,000 CV.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So explain it back to me.
Um, so if you do 3 essentials, and I'm driving, so I can't necessarily math right now, but if you do 3 essentials, which is that's the 1080, right? So it's 30% of that. Is that
Yeah.
right? And
Correct.
then so that was 23. So like 3 of those would be over the 5,000 mark. So you would get 30% of those sales up to the 5,000, and then you would get 1 star. Is that right?
Close.
Okay.
It's the CV is based off of commission, not off the retail price. So
Okay.
you're adding up the 23s, that's on the retail price.
So
So
you
you
would need, so if it's 3 something, 3 times 5 would be uh, again, math in my head. Okay, I think I understand. It's just taking a little while to land. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on the whiteboard right now, and then
Okay,
you give
perfect.
me a thumbs up if that's brought the clarity you're looking for.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You betcha. I'm grateful that you're on the team. I remember having lunch with you at the first E3, and um, and that was really weird because I felt something different hanging out with you and a couple other ladies at that table that my eyes started leaking. It was really strange.
Aw, that is one of my gifts. I make people cry. So you're welcome.
Amazing.
I love that.
Okay, so GM to that. Let's talk comp plan. And sometimes people are hesitant to even bring up that there's a comp plan, but you got to remember every single thing you've ever engaged with has a comp plan. So they just don't call it that. They call it a wage or a salary, but it's a comp plan. All right. So in ours, so let's just get granular on the first step. Okay. So a couple of the rules is you're going to get 30% of CV. CV is commission value. And if we just talk, which is strange for me, but we'll just stick to essentials because we like to sell cash combos here. But the essentials, now remember, there is the retail price, which is $31.47. And then there's the cash discount price, which is $23.37. But both of those are going to pay out a commission of $1,080. Okay. So that's why the comp plan is based on commission value, not on what they're paying because some customers are paying the full retail and some are getting an $810 discount. Regardless, corporate sends out 1080 to the field. If you are a 5-star, you're going to get the full thing. If not, let's break it down. You will be getting 30% of the CV. So 1080 times 0.3 equals 324. You sell in essentials today, corporate is going to send you 324. But there's a remaining balance. You're not getting the full 1080 minus 324. There's still a balance of 756. And that's going to go to your upline, I guess will be the language. Because maybe the person who recruited you is not a 5-star. Let's talk about that scenario. And then I think that'll expand our brains a little bit. So in the 756 upline, let's say we got Abby, and she enrolls Beth, and Beth enrolls Chuck, and Chuck enrolls Dan. You see my clever ABCD names? Okay. So let's say Abby is a 5-star, Beth is a 3-star, Chuck is a 1-star, Dan is brand spanking new, no stars, and Dan makes an essential sale to Ed. Okay, so Ed is now a brand new customer. And that essential sale, whether it's retail or cash, doesn't matter. Let's say cash for simplicity's sake, since it's much more popular. I'd say 85% of essential sales in our organization are cash. So we're going to go with that. So 2337 is what the student pays. Okay. So Ed paid, bought his essentials. Congrats. Dan is now in a money earning position because he's an ICM. He hasn't achieved any star status. So the commission on here is 1080. It's going to flow up. Here's one way I've envisioned it before is no, I'm going to do it different. If this guy is getting 30% and this person is getting 40% and this person is getting 50% and this one's going to get 100%, you got to remember it's on their own production that we're referring to this 30, 40, 50, or 100. Because if it's a team sale, just watch, you'll see what I mean with the numbers here. Dan made the sale to Ed. So Dan's going to get 30% of 1080. That's $324 to Dan. The next flow up of this 756, Chuck is going to get some of it. Okay. But the difference between 30 and 40% is 10%. So Chuck's not getting 40%. He's just in the 40% earning bracket if he makes his own sale. But because he's 1-star and Dan is on his team, that commission will flow up, but only 10% of the difference between 30 and 40, right? So Chuck is going to get 108 to Chuck. Well, the difference between 40 and 50 is also 10%. So another 108 is going to go to Beth. Okay, so how many dollars have we now accounted for? 324 plus 108 plus 108. We're looking at 540 have been allocated so far. So the remaining 540 would go to Abby in this scenario. So when Ed purchased, 4 people made a commission because the 5-star, here's another rule. Here's another rule about this comp plan. If 5-star, if you are a 5-star, you earn at least 50% of overflow sales. This is called overflow. Okay, this is not override, this is overflow. That 1080 just keeps flowing up until it finds a 5-star. So if you're a 5-star, you're going to get at least 50. Okay. Now, let's say, to contrast this, it just goes, Abby's a 5-star. She enrolled Dan, who's a 0-star, and Dan got Ed, who just bought his essentials. Okay, in this situation, there's still the 1080 commission generated. Dan's still only going to get 324 because a 0-star gets 324 on their first essential sale. So then Abby would get the remaining 756 to equal the 1080. So remember what I said, you're going to get at least 50% of overflow sales as a 5-star. This is why you want to build a team, guys. The money comes in every direction all across the country. You got to speed through to get your 5-star. So do you see the difference here? If there's people in between you that haven't gotten their 5-star yet, the money will keep flowing up to the 5-star who gets 50% of the CV. Now, going back to this scenario, well, before I do that other scenario, any questions about these two side by side?
Just really fast. So it's interesting because the overflow piece makes more sense to me than the original commission. So in this scenario, if that person at the same time, for whatever reason, did 3 of those, not just 1, they would still get commission on all 3, not just the 1, or they only get commission on that up to that 1,500 that you were saying.
You're going to get paid on every sale. For sure, every sale.
Cool.
So
then I think I understand.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. Yep. It all goes in the bucket. It all keeps filling up that bucket. And as you hit each benchmark, the commission gets bigger, but every sale you ever make will pay you.
This is the coolest comp plan I've ever seen. I'm not even sorry. This is amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. Has this been helpful for anyone else who's looking at building a big team and they're seeing the difference between a whole stack of people who aren't 5-star versus getting a direct sale? I just timed out my screen. How silly. Bring it right back up here. Right. So to just draw out what we were just talking about, if Dan makes 3 sales, this would just happen times 3. They would get 3 324s would pay out to Dan, 3 108s would pay out to Chuck, 3 108s would pay out to Beth, and 3 540s would pay to Abby. And what Dan's commission bucket would look like, if this was Dan down here, and remember at the first level, you're going to get 30%, then 40%. And this is the 5K level of CV. 1080 1080, and 1080 have gone into this bucket. So right now, you know, if that level is 30%, we're about right there. $3,000. $3,240 are in this bucket, headed towards 5,000. Now, although Chuck and Beth are getting paid and they're not 5-star, their buckets are not growing because only Dan made the sale, so only Dan's bucket is growing. Dan is not advancing Chuck's or Beth's 5-star progress. They're getting paid because they earned that star status, but they have to put their own sales in their own bucket to advance that, to earn their own 5-star.
Just for fun, will you do the same numbers for the big one for the combo? I just want to see them, please.
Sure thing.
Sweet.
So we got Abby. She's 5-star. She enrolls Beth, who enrolls Chuck, who enrolled Dan, who enrolled Ed. Okay, Beth is 3-star, Chuck is 1-star, Dan is 0-star, and Ed just bought his cash combo. So he paid the 25,991 and 12,000 CV is generated. So what would happen here? So Dan, we're gonna reference Dan's bucket. So with 12,000 CV going into Dan's bucket, and that first benchmark is 5K, and the next one is 15K, he's already smashed that first level because now he's right here at 12 in the bucket. So far, so good. So on the first 5K, you're getting 30%. So that's going to equal 1,500 paid. I should put that in green. 1,500 off of Ed's order so far to Dan. And then we're now in the 40% for the other 7,000, right? Because 12,000 minus 5,000 that we've already counted is now 7,000. 7,000 times our 40%, because that's the bracket that 7,000 fell into, is 2,800. So we're going to get 2,800 also paid on one order. On when Dan made the sale to Ed, Dan is going to get paid $4,300. He's going to earn his 1-star also, and he's only 3,000 away from becoming a 3-star. So Dan gets paid $4,300. Chuck is going to get so Dan is at 30%, Chuck is at 40%, Beth is at 50%, and Abby's at 100%. So we talked about the difference, that 10% difference on 12,000 is going to be 1,200 here. Whoops, let me switch to green. 1,200, 1,200, and 6,000. Now, if I did this correctly, this should add up. I did not do it correctly. It's not adding up. Because this is 4, 5, 6. Oh, I've allocated 500 too much somewhere. Oh, I know why. This one I know is right. And this one I know is right. Because 43, 12, 12 is 24. Plus 43 is 65. I have a $500 excess. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, that's awesome. Because this rarely happens, obviously, or else I would just have the answer off the top. Because Dan, this was so common. I mean, this is easy. And Abby is obvious because you get 50% of overflows. But
Well, Michael, you're talking 12,000. That's 60,000, not 50,000. There's where your extras come.
Say it again.
You're talking 5 FX combos. That's 12,000 a piece. That's 60,000. Okay, not
No,
50,000.
this scenario is just on one sale. I'm going to get the answer and we'll cover it on tomorrow morning's call before we turn it over to Bill the Bulldog. But the point here is that Beth and Chuck are losing out on this gigantic commission because they haven't hit 5-star yet and they're being passed. If Beth became 5-star, then all those sales would flow to her. But since she's still a 3-star, it's flowing up to Abby. The flow function I know is correct. 10%. Oh, no, that's silly. All right, well, cliffhanger, folks. And I just saw the time. I need to go to the pack call. But what I want you to get out of this is 5 stars get half, 0 stars get 30%. So the average American out there is breaking their brain, working 160 hours a week, plus traffic, taxes, insult to injury, inflation, all of that, because they don't have a business. They're doing all of that for 4,300 when you could just send one customer to Renatus and you know that they're going to get taken care of for life. So anyway, exciting times. I got to run. I will see you guys tomorrow morning for another exciting episode. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye for now.